So hopefully no more teething problems after this week. But you'll notice above my head there is a news ticker where we write down all the news, what is going on. This is our 11th season, and we are all super happy to be back with you. I've been looking forward to this more than is perhaps healthy, quite a bit more. So without further ado, since we're already running late, how about we dive in? I'm still waiting for feedback though about whether people can hear you.
We'll soon find out, but yeah, I don't know how unhealthy this will end up being. I've just stuffed 4 Eccles cakes, so that was my pre-race warm-up.
All right, well, I'm going to ready up. We'll go in, and if people can't hear me, then they'll just have to switch to your stream.
Which I've now ducked on. So, yes, if people are watching on my stream, where do they need to go to get to yours, which is eminently more presentable?
Well, you can come to mine, twitch.tv/definitely zero, all one word, but there's a good chance that despite it looking quite good, I don't know what I'm doing, so who's to say? The other thing, though, is people who are hanging out here might not be able to hear you, and if not, they can head over to youtube.com/higherplayinggames and you can go on board with Simon. Pretty soon you'll be able to go on board with Simon here, I hope. I'm just going to step away for a second, and I'm going to ask in the other room if they can hear me.
Okie dokie.
So you take over. You do the talky talk.
This could be drama. So yeah, we're back for an 11th season. We've decided as we continue to go round and round on the merry-go-round of F1 cars that we'd go for Renault this year. We've been in Renaults before, but it was difficult to choose, especially not knowing exactly how the 2020 layout of the land is for the F1 teams before the F1 game came out. I can completely appreciate why the game has stayed very, very close to testing / the last year's car performances. I'm getting this weird bug again. Well, no, it's not a bug with this game. I've had some things with this game where the track is so dark I can't actually see what's going on. But no, it's just because it's raining. Ha 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 ha. So that's great. Can't wait to crash in the rain before I get anywhere with it. But yeah, it's been really difficult. So we decided to go with Renault because it seemed like the team that looked the most miserable, that could do with a pep talk, and seemed most in spirally decline. So why not make that the complete failure for 2020? Plus, I cannot drive the Williams in this game, in any of the F1 games, because I can't get to grips with the fact that their wheel has 2 displays on it, and one turns and one doesn't, and my eyes can't cope.
The Williams is a tricky car, actually, isn't it? I found the same thing. Are we wet in the race as well?
We are dry in the race.
Okay, so I'm going to go with a dry setup and hope that nothing bad happens, although usually it does.
This is true. I'm doing the same.
Oh.
And I'm not good at Melbourne. In my team, Minardi Revival, I've now done 3 rounds. Hanoi was hellish. But Australia, although I did score a point, it was basically because of a fortuitous safety car and the fact that I'd rammed people off the road.
Well, I'm going to have to agree with you there. Hanoi is a horrible, horrible circuit. I was saying on a stream last week, it strikes me as the sort of circuit that people design in the pub. Because it seems like a good idea on paper, and then later proves to be a huge mistake.
Nothing flows, and I look at some of the track cameras of where they've placed it, and we don't know quite where they're going to place it in real life. And I'm like, oh, it looks like Lowe's hairpin, except it's on the A414. And then there's something else later on where I'm like, oh yeah, it's where they've tried to do the Shanghai hairpin at the end, but there's no actual grandiose stadium at the end of it to drive around, and it's too skinny at the it's just awful. And that third and final sector, I swear they just got a kid and went, have an epileptic fit with a pen in your hand and just see what happens.
It is horrible, isn't it?
And it doesn't, like, I get what they were trying to do, and maybe there's a flow in there somewhere, but I haven't found it. And there's too many where you swing out wide and nearly catch a barrier, which means that it doesn't feel satisfying or, like, challenging.
There's no nearly about it, mate, when I'm behind the wheel. To be fast... oh, there's a yellow flag ahead. Is that you?
Oh, it's just me touring. You go. I'm in the wrong modes of everything. I just needed to sort myself out.
Oh, don't we both?
My life.
Do you know, it's funny this, because I was practicing this track in the wet this morning, just in case this happened.
Hey.
It doesn't mean I'm going to be fast. It just means, hopefully, I'm less inclined to put it into the barrier. Although, obviously, there's no guarantees there either.
No,
I mean, I'm kind of... Honestly, I'm a little happy now that we probably won't go to Hanoi this year, because having now not only seen the layout, but tested it in the game, I just don't see it being conducive to good racing at all.
No.
And there's nowhere I feel comfortable attempting an overtake.
No, it's too narrow. That back straight is windy like Valencia, and that massive long straights followed with a DRS zone that screams too much. There's also, I think, nowhere near enough runoff in some of those places where I just feel like there is a massive smash waiting to happen. Doesn't feel, in an era of sticking halos on the car for being safe, that screams everything about 1970s death to all F1 drivers at the same time.
Hello to you, chat. I can see you in there typing. I'm currently not able to read what you've written, but I am about to read what you've written once I come into the pits and replace the front wing that I've carelessly broken. It's my own fault because I put down too much power.
This game is much more power sensitive on the old accelerator boot.
You're not joking.
Although I can dial it out sometimes with some of the setups.
Oh, hello to you, Beetlejuice. I hope you're well, mate. You can be our Cyril any day, mate. Be a crap Valentine's Day card, though. But don't worry. As we covered at the first attempt to start the stream, I am perfectly prepared to fit in at a French team. I have an onion
come on, Charles.
to sit on, and then there's some garlic that was shoved in my shirt before as like a good luck totem. I'm drinking my Red Bull out of a wine glass, and over here I have a stale croissant.
All of the Frenchy.
Floury. Blech.
That is exactly the kind of noise that I imagine Cyril says every time he looks at Daniel Ricciardo. It just replays over in his mind. How dare you be the first? How dare someone not love us? Instead, we're the ones that normally do the flicking in this paddock.
I really did sit on that onion very hard then.
Ooh. Can you be fisted by an onion?
I just was, mate. There's no question there.
There's a shallot. There's shallot going on there. Sorry.
Oh, off to a good start with the puns. So, yeah, before we get into the real F1 news, which is ostensibly what we're here for, at the moment we are still chatting about the game. I've been very much enjoying your Minardi playthrough, but, I mean, largely, what are your takeaways? Have you been impressed by it?
Yeah, I'm impressed with the My Team mode being better than I thought it was going to be, whilst not being something that's too micromanagey to take it over. I wondered where the middle ground would be, and that is it, the middle ground. So, whilst I could quite happily geek out on a Motorsport Manager style game over and over years and years and years, as my channel will have known, as I've only just finished my VLAN playthrough, 140 episodes. It took me to get to that title, but we got there eventually.
No one could say you aren't dedicated.
No, or foolhardy. I like the fact that I feel like I'm busy, I'm making a difference, I have choices to make, but they're all kind of not surface level, but they're easy to kind of see the repercussions of what you do, so that you can just make snap decisions, but feel in control without it just dragging you down like into the nitty gritty. How about you?
I'm loving it. For me, I see my team mode as sort of a dry run for their management game they're supposed to be making for us.
Yes.
And I'm inclined to think that the only real issue I've run into is that they're very slow to patch problems. The loading times are still arse. There's still a floating mechanic working out in the middle of the lake by himself at Melbourne.
Yes.
And occasionally drivers have no heads. Other than that, for a first crack at my team mode, I think it's gone supremely well. And I think the AI is the best it's been. I like the handling model, for sure.
I'm still getting used to it, I must admit. But I'm not. That doesn't mean that it's bad or worse. It's just I'm getting used to it.
Oh, and for those watching my stream, you may have noticed I have switched to what very similar to Pro Mode graphics because I thought maybe you'd want to see what's going on and not just a bunch of overlays and so on. But it means I don't know where I am. I don't know how fast I am. I don't know if there are cars around me, and I'll have to rely on Jeff quite a bit more. But hopefully it's nicer to watch.
Oh, Jeff.
And I was doing some laps early today, and I play without the corner indicators when I'm offline. And it does look really good, this game, once it's not hidden behind all the text windows and so on. I have no idea if this is a fast lap or not, but the car feels very squirrely because I'm using a dry setup. So I'm using the old adage, slow to be fast.
Well, I'm on my cooldown lap and somehow I'm 7/10 faster than my current fastest, so I don't know how that's happened.
The track's probably drying up. I mean, not drying up, but there'll be a dry line forming, eh?
Yeah.
And in a moment, I'm going to come and read chat. I think I could probably be faster than I have been, but let's see where this puts us. Don't even know how much time we've got left in the session. That's the scary thing.
7 minutes 45. Oh, you're pole.
Boom! Boom! I have no idea by how much. Hold on. Session update. That's the other thing that I found. My skill in the wet weather has come back in this game. I completely lost it in the last game. And for the eagle-eyed amongst you, you may have realised I'm playing with traction control off.
Hey.
It's fucking terrifying. It's terrifying, but I've sort of got used to it now. In the dry, though, there's a few turns here where it's very easy, if you take the wrong line in, to just uncontrollable spin into the barrier. And I'm aiming to have less DNFs this year. That's why I've got an onion up my bum. I mean, I got to try something, right?
This is true. You're pole by half a second.
Boom! It felt like a very, very slow lap.
Okay, let's get out there and try and be slightly more respectable than 16th on the grid.
Oh, here we go. Beetlejuice is going to relentlessly bully whoever's slower in the first round.
I feel like there is now pressure.
Yeah. Although, can I just say, that's the correct thing to do, Beetlejuice. If there's one thing I've learned in my life, is that bullying gets a bad rep, but, it's probably for the best.
This is where Helmut gets his decisions in life from.
What I'm going to do now, while I'm eating my stale croissant in celebration, magnifique, isn't there a magnifier built into Windows for, blind people?
I don't know. Yeah. Well, yeah. You'll have. Oh, I don't know what it's called.
I want to see if I can, or maybe I can just move this closer. I want to see if I can read chat a bit better in like.
You can can zoom out into text per window.
Let's. No, I can't. Never mind. Here's a question for you though, Beetlejuice. Are the sound levels okay for you, mate? I understand you may not be able to hear the game audio, but you should be able to hear me and Simon. I just want to make sure that we're okay. I think Simon might be a bit quiet, but given the technical problems we've had today and the emotional breakdown I had off air, there's not much I can do about it.
Hence why there is an onion up your bum.
That's part of the reason why there is now an onion up my arse. How much time is left in session? 4:36. I can do another round. Also, viewers from previous years will notice that there has been a slight change in format. Instead of doing Q1, 2 and 3, we are now... I've just set it to a 20-minute qualifying session. The reason being that we learned to our chagrin last year that if one of us bins it in Q1, their stream becomes very dull for 2 qualifying sessions. Oh... Loosen myself up now, get loosey-goosey.
Aye. That's what an onion does to you and your constitution.
You don't understand, Beetlejuice. You saw the Grosjean-like season I had last year. We're in a French team. I'm trying to appease the French gods, so it's croissants, and I've got garlic in my shirt, and I'm sat on an onion, and now I'm on pole, so it clearly works. It clearly works.
Talking of Grosjean, have you seen some of the... apologies to randomly bring in some F1 news, but have you seen Gunther Steiner getting angry at Grosjean's comments, basically saying, well, don't ask me about whether I'm going to be in F1 next year. You need to ask if Haas are going to be in F1 next year.
I did. It's actually... I've been on top of my game. It was on our news ticker pre-show.
Oh.
Because I found that particularly interesting, and it seems like... At the moment, it looks to me like we may be wrong and Haas may actually stick around, but only on the basis that the team will be essentially paid for, well, I don't know to what extent, but obviously enough to make it tenable for Gene Haas, by the Mexican dollarinos of one Sergio Perez.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, Perez... did go on the record and say he's aware that Sebastian Vettel has received a contract offer from Aston Martin.
Yes.
I find it hard to talk about this topic without getting very, very angry, because all that man's done for that team down the years, and it's a lot, to treat him this way, to secure the services of someone who may not even be driving at the same level. It just seems ridiculous to me. And also, he's been there years. You've built that car around him to some extent. I mean, actually, maybe that's less true now. You've just photocopied a Mercedes. But you know what I'm getting at, right? It seems to me that this is the time where you can capitalise on having had a stable team for as long as you have, between, you know, that side of the garage and Sergio Perez. And, you know, if they're going to get rid of anyone, then, you know, normally logic would say Stroll, but, you know, it's not like Stroll's been disgracing himself, to be fair, and he's the boss's son, so... instead, Sergio Perez gets to be the saviour once again of Haas, because I honestly believe Haas were on the way out. But he comes with a lot of money. And given that Gene had said, we'll only stay in if we're either competitive or it's financially viable, then I think we're looking at a Perez-Magnussen lineup at Haas next year.
Yeah, I agree. Should Vettel go over, and... I don't really want Vettel to go over. I want him to leave. Want is a strong word. I feel like we're having a bit of a can't let go mentality, and I may have had this about Jensen and initially Fernando, but now Fernando's coming back again, and I'm like, oh, I'm done with this already, or I'm done with him already in F1. I don't have this nostalgia hard on that everyone seems to have for having him back in the car. Yes, he's a fantastic driver. Do I think he'll push Renault forward? Absolutely not. Do I think Renault will be able to stop him from not being, or do I think that team will give him what he needs? No. So what are we going to have? Another couple of years of Alonso basically having smoke blown up his arse, saying, oh yes, isn't he fantastic? Oh, Renault aren't giving him the machine he wants. Renault then get angry, they'll probably pull out of F1, that's another team gone. And then I just think the same potentially will happen to a Vettel if he then goes to Aston Martin and they don't go smack bang on the ball, particularly when they're going to have to think about how do I actually design my own cars in 2022. It's all very well copying and going for a new philosophy, but if they don't fundamentally understand it, as we see with Haas now, then you aren't going to know things from beginning to end innately how they work. So therefore you can never capitalise and be the best of whatever they do. And then I think that'll be a weird damp squib to Vettel, in the same way that I feel like Raikkonen is there, and I quite enjoy Raikkonen having him on the track and him doing lots of stuff, but I can see there's this collection of fresh blood of Russell, Albon, who is now the latest whipping boy of everyone. Some of it justified, some of it not. And the third one of that trio, I've forgotten. But yeah, we need this fresh blood. We need this fresh talent in. We need more cars, basically, so that you can have older and newer stalemates in. Clear them out. They're fine.
Oh, it asks if we want to proceed. Yes, we do.
Yes.
Well, I don't know where that lap time came from.
That's
really
amazing. Well done.
The onion works. See, next week you're gonna tune into the stream when we get Simon's face cam working, and he's gonna be ring of onions, baguettes behind him.
I'm gonna have an old fucking ratatouille up me.
Clearly, you're not as French as I. I think you're right, Beetlejuice. I think to some extent Checo probably will just take the buyout clause and run. I just don't know what's in it for him going to Haas. He did say also that he's received an offer from a team outside Formula One, and I wonder if that's a bit more compelling. I think he'd make a good IndyCar driver, to be honest.
Well, Buxton was saying that, wasn't he? Maybe it'd be a good idea remember, he has old Ferrari ties. If Ferrari are going to go into IndyCar, maybe he could be their IndyCar stalwart. And if they Mexican heritage, they love a good Mexican in IndyCar, he could very well be a powerhouse for commercial things over there as well.
Well, I mean, for me, something that I hadn't considered, but is definitely the case. Alfa Romeo have a slot open.
Yeah. And Lord knows they're not selling cars, so they need some money.
Yeah. I'm wondering if it makes sense for me to try a two-stopper. Because I don't like being on the hard tyre. But no, I won't. Apparently as well, it's because we qualified on the wets, isn't it? That's why. I'm tempted to start on the hards then if I have to run them.
I'm starting on the mediums.
And you're going medium hard?
Yeah.
What's your thinking? I'm intrigued.
So I, particularly on this circuit, I'm quite trigger happy on the accelerator, which means I slide and I wear out my soft tyres too quickly, and therefore I want to minimise the amount of time that I'm on the hards, because I'm going to be on them for a long time, and they're too slow and clunky. So if I stay on the mediums, then it reduces the amount of laps that I'm on the hards for. So it's a weird reverse psychology, that one for me.
Do you know what? I am going to two-stop.
Oh, you Jim Jam.
I may come to regret it, and I can always revert it. But it's only 4 seconds slower, apparently. It keeps me off the hards, and it means... Because you're right, I also spin up my tyres a little bit. Beetlejuice says part of the reason that drivers are reluctant, or were reluctant to let go of drivers now, is that the young talent pool perhaps isn't what it was when we had, Russell and Norris on the sidelines. There's probably some truth to that, but there's still some exciting drivers in F2, I think. And moreover, it just strikes me as time for people like Raikkonen and even Vettel to just go, just move on. But yeah, my point was Sergio Perez, Alfa Romeo. I hadn't even considered that as a possibility, but they should have a seat there. Because I'm guessing Raikkonen will go. I mean, qualifying today was dire.
Oh, I was just quickly changing my strategy. Okay, I'm a few couple of seconds ago I was in. Yeah, it wasn't his finest look, was it?
Well, I'm not as fast in the dry as I clearly was in the wet, because everyone's catching me. Oh, maybe not.
No, Vettel and Hamilton nearly came together, that was why.
But also, I'm not entirely sure Checo and Alfa Romeo will make a good mix, although in a bizarre way I could see him and Giovinazzi forming a team.
Yeah, I need
a very hot-blooded team.
Yeah, I mean, I can see Giovinazzi. I need him to do a bit more for me, before I can see whether or not he has staying power. But again, they aren't really pushing anyone up from the Ferrari side of stuff. They've got Callum Ilott as about the only one, I think, in the Ferrari world that's doing anything, and I can't remember if he is Ferrari Academy driver or not. Oh, Norris, you little bitch.
That was a nice touch you added onto the end there.
He passed me, and then he just veered into me as if to give me a little love nudge on the entry to turn 14. 14, sorry.
Beetlejuice asks, who says that Giovinazzi is staying? A fair point, but I really do think Raikkonen will choose to step down, and it tends to be, not always, but it does tend to be bad for a team to change both drivers at once. You sort of want some continuity, so you've got a benchmark for your car, for how the car develops.
Agree.
I have no idea, honestly, no idea why I'm so fast suddenly, because I haven't been, but I can't even see this is going to be a very boring stream for you now, Beetlejuice, unless I bin it. And even then, it's hardly going to make the highlights reel, is it? Regardless, on we push. Yeah, I don't know why they would get rid of Giovinazzi, and that's not just because he has fantastic hair, which I think every team can feel the benefit of.
That is true.
And honestly, I'm surprised that he doesn't have, money coming in from Timotei or or L'Oreal or something, because the advertising is perfect.
I would love him to do that Herbal Essences advert where they used to have the female orgasm in the shower.
Yes. Well, I saw it. Did you see him in qualifying today when he took his helmet off? That is a magnificent mane. The boys got it. Whatever it is, he has it.
The worst haircut I ever remember on an F1 driver, and this is going to be very extremely niche, as most of our conversations on these are, There was a driver in 1993, although he did do some, did not pre-qualify as earlier, I believe, that drove for Minardi, called Fabrizio Barbazza, and it was a white guy with an afro.
No.
From Italy, and it's just, it's like as if he's perfectly rounded afro, and so it just looks like he could have literally not bothered with a helmet because it's perfectly circular. It's gorgeous. There's nothing more 90s or like 1992 than that.
I'm gonna have to go look that up. I think I need some of that. Although today, of course, he'd have his license revoked just for the hair.
Yeah, that's true.
He'd have his super license taken away.
Didn't need a halo. Everything would just get lost in the main.
But, you know, now we've touched on qualifying, as well as Antonio Giovinazzi's lustrous hair. Alfa Romeo. Not looking good, are they?
That is the second race in a row where they have been last, isn't it? Or did...
Yes.
No, yeah. And I can't see what... yes, we know that the Ferrari power plant is struggling, and that's also part of why Haas are in trouble as well. But there is clearly something that has not quite gone right there. And I can't quite put my finger on it because it doesn't... nothing looks spectacularly bad. It just doesn't look good enough in all the areas.
Well, I mean, the thing is... I suppose we should also not overlook the fact that all the cars are particularly close, with the exception of the Mercedes.
Yeah.
And that, you know, the difference between who's last and who's, you know, even P15 is not, generally speaking, that large now.
Is this the closest season, I wonder, ever? It feels like it could be.
I would be curious to see that. I mean... it does make me excited for the fact that the cars are the same next year. That we just need them to do something about Mercedes, because that car is otherworldly, and you saw that in qualifying.
The way how we was on Hamilton's pole lap when he went through turn 4, and it was like he was driving in arcade mode on low difficulty with all the assists on. It looks supreme. And I've not seen a car be able to just stick it round that corner and not run off wide and get their lap deleted like that before. Gorgeous.
Do you know what it reminds me of? ProDrive had a differential system on a sports car a few years ago, well, quite a few years ago, that would hold, you could basically drive it in a circle and it wouldn't run wide. And it looked very similar to that, so... almost like independent gearing on each wheel. I'm sure that's not the case because probably it's against the rules, and I'm sure it'd be a very heavy system to apply to an F1 car. But yeah, it's. I agree. I've never seen a car either turn 4 have that grip and hold. And again, it sounds like I'm talking about Giovinazzi's hair. And I will concede, Beetlejuice, to your chat message. I suppose to some extent we have made your point about younger drivers, but still, I do feel it's definitely time for Raikkonen to step aside. And I'm with Simon on this. I still think it's probably time for Vettel to go. Not because he's not got anything left to offer. It's just when I think of the alternatives, they're all more exciting than Vettel staying in.
Yeah.
Like, all the possible driver moves that could take place, they're all better when Vettel isn't there taking up a seat. That said, you know, we've been there before, right? Because, you know, we all thought Massa was done after his stint at Ferrari, but then he went to Williams and drove superbly for a good few years longer. And I'm wondering if we won't see the same from Vettel again, and, you know, it's his way into a Mercedes. So, you know, I mean, I wish good luck to them, obviously, but I'm just not sure it's necessarily going to be a good fit. And given that Racing Point could find themselves on the losing end of an appeal very, very soon, it may be that they lose all the pace that they've gained by photocopying a Mercedes. Because, you know, if that car gets ruled illegal, they have to build a new one for next year. And for this year, to be honest. That's going to cost quite a lot of money, and there's no guarantee it's going to be good.
That is true. And the whole thing with Vettel is saying that he's not going to be there making up the numbers and so on and so forth. Completely understand, completely get. What also intrigues me is that obviously Perez comes with such a huge backing, and so not only are they going to need to fork out so much for Vettel, they're going to lose so much from Perez. I reckon it basically doubles Vettel's salary, and that is a huge commitment from Aston Martin to bring in. I didn't think they were that cash flush themselves. I know Lawrence Stroll is, but it just
makes
makes
his money, not theirs, isn't it?
That's true. I guess it just feels a bit. It all feels very 2001 Toyota.
Yes, it does, doesn't it? Throwing money at problems to make them go away. And it's not even like they've got that many problems. It's a strange problem to try and fix.
Yeah.
It's a very strange problem to try and fix. I mean, in the end, they did lock out the second row, didn't they?
Yes, they did.
Tomorrow.
They did. And Stroll drove beautifully, it must be said, to be the better of the two Racing Points. And he's a good little driver on Sunday. I would still put my money on Perez over the course of a season, obviously, but it's nice to see him get some decent results, so that, because he is of a calibre where I think he could have a very long and decent career in F1, regardless of Daddy's talent, or Daddy's. Well, yeah, I guess it is Daddy's talent.
I don't know if Daddy's got any talent, but he's definitely got money. Beetlejuice points out that, well, essentially you're right in that the money Aston Martin are using to sponsor Racing Point, Aston Martin, eyebrows, Badger 4, Stroll, Jordan, Midland Spiker, that money he loaned them as an advance. So he's sponsoring himself, but we knew that already, I suppose.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, he's put some serious money into that team because they're building a new factory as well. A big, impressive factory. So, at least personally, his commitment seems genuine and long-term.
Yeah.
And, you know, we just better hope Lance comes good.
If Lance Stroll wins a world championship with Aston Martin, Racing Point, Badger Stroll, eyebrows, bank balance, do you think that it would be as worthy as all the others?
That's really tough to answer. That's really hard to answer because...
Without ever knowing what's happened in the thing, but yeah.
Well, I mean, but also you could always make the argument that no F1 driver would have won a championship had it not been for the financial backing of their sponsors.
Yeah.
So now I have no idea what position I'm in. I have no idea what lap this is.
Lap 9.
I've got a feeling I may come to regret this two-stop strategy, but we shall see. I was feeling fruity. And you may have noticed, Beetlejuice, what I'm doing now in order to read the chat, because my magnifier hasn't arrived yet, is when I get to the start-finish straight, I pause the game and the AI drives down the straight. So I shouldn't be gaining. In fact, I should be losing a little time down the straights. But at least then I can read chat and pay attention to all the lovely people who come and join us on a Saturday.
Gap to car in front is 1.9 seconds.
I've also turned off driver tags, so all I know is that ahead of me is an Aston Martin, not an Aston Martin, Alfa Romeo. Driver in front. Yeah, that's great, but who are they? Who are they? Is it Giovinazzi? Is it Raikkonen? What position am I? Who even knows? Full race update. But, you know, I was going for the authentic F1 driver experience. You remember, like, Kimi Raikkonen would always be like, what lap are we on? What lap are we on?
That is true. That is very true.
I'm losing time to these cars in front of me. Because, again, they're running nose to tail, which means it's very hard to get by them.
Which is exactly where I am with... I've lost a second on them now, but Leclerc has got Hamilton and Vettel all over him, and they're just nose to tail and no one can pass each other. Oh, although Hamilton's just gone for a dicey little move in the chicane, of all places, and just got through. Wow.
Oh, I hate overtake attempts in that chicane. So I'm not going to make one. I'm so scared as well when I'm in the wake of another car because it knackers your downforce so badly.
Yep, as I've just found out, I nearly ploughed right into the back of Vettel, but we're okay. Okay, this is where it counts for Schmiffy.
Are you pitting?
No. But everyone in front of me is. So, well, two in front of me did.
Okay, I have no idea if I've gained places there. Let's find out. Full race update. Full race update. Twat.
My Jeff's a bit better for me this year.
He's always harboured a bigoted attitude towards the Northerner. I have a Haas in front of me and I'm scared to make an overtake attempt of any description. Anyway, back to qualifying. Obviously, the hot topic has to be the Williams.
Both into Q2.
Both making it into Q2. I can't tell you how happy that made me. Because I felt Latifi was robbed of it last time out because he was on a lap that would have got him in then.
Mm-hmm. And Latifi's not terrible. He's a bit inconsistent, but he's not terrible. Although I don't think he's of George Russell's ultimate calibre, he won't disgrace himself in that second Williams because he's always been a front runner in F2. It's just that he's never quite been that champion. And he's never been able to sustain himself over a full season. So he's going to be one of those drivers that ebbs and flows, I think, very track dependent. But no, it's good to see him in as well. And Georgie Porgy was fab here in Hungaroring last year, fab again this year. Really, really standing out. Which makes me both happy and annoyed at the same time that they've both been confirmed for Williams for next year already.
So here's a juicy rumour for you. Well, it's not even a rumour. Jenny Gow spoke to George Russell after he was announced as a driver, and he said to her that Claire Williams was absolutely clear that they wouldn't let him out of his third year of his contract.
Oh.
And Bottas, just before this announcement, was signed on a one-year extension.
Oh, hello.
So it sounds to me that Russell got the call from Mercedes and Williams wouldn't let him out of the contract.
Interesting.
But that said, he didn't sound like he had a problem with it. You know, he sounded like, you know, he just said, I'm going to do my best for Williams. I don't know if that was him being professional or whatnot, but he seemed fairly cheerful in the pre-quali today, so I guess he's not too bitter. For me, though, I think his time is definitely coming. I would obviously have liked to see him get a crack in the Mercedes, but it's probably a bit too early to be throwing Bottas out as well. Another year, see what happens. What I'm most excited about, though, is that Williams is genuinely good in the wet. And again, another Failcast prediction, because I actually said before the rainy qualifying, I think the Williams will be fast in the wet because it looks very, very planted. And if you were watching him today in qualifying, even though it said it was raining, but it was a dry running session, that car looked, very, very planted. I mean, it looked like he could throw it around. He seemed to have confidence in it. So, while it's obviously not the fastest car out there, it's light years ahead of what they had last year.
Yeah.
Tomorrow, the forecast is heavy rain and thunderstorms. I actually would entertain the idea of George Russell, through pit strategy, getting a point.
Oh, yes, please.
Assuming nothing horrible happens.
Yeah.
As it's wont to do. Well, I apologise to my viewers, it's a very quiet race on my screen. Apparently, according to Beetlejuice, my race engineer, I will not have the drink. Does that mean I have the drink or I don't have the drink?
You do not have the drink.
Oh. I like that the AI takes over if I need to pause for a minute to read chat and have a cheeky drinky winky. I tell you what, I'm not missing traction control yet, and I really thought I would. Oh, and my aim for the next stream, ladies and gentlemen, is to move to my wheel.
Oh, that's a bold choice.
Yeah, and it's going to slow me down massively, I'm sure, but I have to learn sooner or later. I'm going to learn with Assetto Corsa as well. But did you have an accident there? That was your accident sound.
No. That was you. That was me reacting to you saying you're going to do it on Assetto Corsa. Oh, I thought
my teammate is in the pit.
I thought I just ruined this pit lane spit lead limiter there, but I was okay.
What position were you when you came in?
I was in the lead.
Boosh.
Bottas has gone through. Verstappen's gone through. You're next. Then Hamilton.
Have they stopped?
Yep.
Oh, so yeah,
So
I
you're
lost the lead
third.
then.
Bottas is on hards and will not stop again. Whoever was next up was on mediums. Then behind you, you've got Hamilton on hards. I've swapped my strategy mid-race, and I'm now also on hards and will not be pitting. But I've leapfrogged Leclerc and Norris in that. Oh well, no, Norris was right behind me. But yeah, me basically not pitting when I was supposed to on the mediums and going a lap longer has let me leapfrog Leclerc, who had a shit outlap on the hard tyres. So that shows how slow the hards are.
It does.
Oh, and how terrible I am at that corner.
Here's a question for you. Is Jack Aitken still in the Williams development programme officially? Because I know he did an FP test.
He is.
So then we could be looking at Aitken replacing George Russell after next year.
Potentially, yeah.
That would be good. I've been waiting for Jack Aitken. I actually thought Renault would be the ones to bring him in, but it seems signing on to a driver development deal with Renault is the kiss of death for your career, so perhaps not.
That is true. And that's also what annoys me about the whole Alonso thing as well, is that Renault did have and have got quite a few drivers in their programme who I think would be F1 material. Maybe not this year, but like next year or beyond. I've been banging on about Guan Yu Zhou for years. He's on the Renault programme. That's him stuffed. So I'm glad that Jack Aitken got out. He wouldn't have been my first choice, actually, to put out there in an FP1 session, but he really was very good, wasn't he, in Styria?
He was. No, I thought he did a very admirable job, and it's good that Williams are already evaluating their next steps, because now they're building a little bit of momentum. You can't get complacent. Beetlejuice, however, feels Latifi is Canada's answer to Jolyon Palmer, and that he doesn't deserve the seat. I don't know if I can go along with that, actually, because he'd been on testing duties for Force India a few times, and he did a respectable job.
Yeah, he was fine. He's fine. He wouldn't have been anywhere in my top choices, but I don't think that he's... Like, there are so many other options that would have been worse to stick in that car. Plus the finance that he brings along, obviously, as well. The other big option in there was Nikita Mazepin, and I have a strong dislike for that driver. So if it was to stop him getting in the car, I'd have been very happy for Nicholas to be sat in it.
Oh, fastest lap, you cheeky monkey. On the hards, no less.
Yeah.
Is it you behind me?
No, you've got Hamilton.
He's gaining on me, isn't he? We have realistic car performance on, so that means the Mercedes is just insanely fast.
And he was stuck behind Leclerc for the first 8 laps of that race, so he's out of position.
Full race update.
Fourth.
Okay, so I'm 6 seconds behind the car in second, who's on all mediums. Didn't tell me who it was.
Verstappen.
And the race leader's on old hards.
Bottas.
Okay, and he's not pitting again.
He shouldn't do.
Oh.
Whereas Verstappen potentially could. It depends if he's two-stopping or trying to get those mediums in a one-stop.
Yeah. I mean, I could definitely stay on these mediums longer, but I honestly... I mean, I've learned my lesson now. Just when I was testing without traction control, I tended to light up my tyres, but it seems I've found the balance on the throttle. And my tyres are actually quite good, so I probably should have stuck to a one-stop, but lesson learned. Either way, I'll be on the fastest tyre in the final stint, and I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. But I will be the only two-stopper, I guess, unless anybody had some form of accident. Tell you what, though, I'm finding it a lot easier to drive without all the mini-map and, you know, the timing information, everything. I mean, of course, I have no idea what day it is, and I have an onion on my arse, but that aside, it's a lot easier to drive like this.
Have you got virtual rear mirror?
No.
Ooh, I have. Maybe out of novelty more than anything else.
I put my corner indicators back on, although this morning I was testing without while talking to someone to see if my brain had enough capacity, and I did an okay job, but it definitely made me slower, so I decided against it. And I thought I'd made enough sacrifices by giving up traction control after my crashiest season ever. But it's helped my race starts immensely, which seems weird.
I'm much better at race starts in this game than I was before. I feel like they've made the race starts much slower for the AI this year. Because the AI used to feel like they were on a different grip level at the start of races for me in 2019.
Do you think that was intentional, or it's actually a bug that they just never got round to fixing? Because given like, some of the serious bugs this game has that have been in it for 2 weeks now, that they've not been any rush to deal with, it makes me wonder, actually. Because, you know, it's not like they haven't got a history of being negligent in the past in this regard.
That is true.
I'll tell you what they have done, though. I've unlocked everything in the podium pass for this month. But they've already added some new some new assets for me to buy with my imaginary money that I can buy with real money now.
Oh, ye microtransact.
Yeah. To be honest, though, I really did complain at the start of this that I didn't like the podium pass system because I didn't understand how easy or difficult it would be to earn the points, and I thought there's no way I'm going to earn enough points to unlock all this stuff. And it seems silly when you've got a My Team mode to lock all the cool liveries and design options behind not just the podium pass but different tiers of it. So like you could unlock gloves, but to get the matching race suit you have to play for another couple of hours, you know.
Yeah, it feels a bit strange.
But actually I've unlocked it all surprisingly quickly, so I kind of take it back. Kind of.
Safety cars.
Oh, perfect.
No overtaking. Reduce your pace. Keep your delta number positive as we form up.
Oh, this is excellent timing.
Now I'm not sure what to do.
I'm coming in for softs. It's basically a free stop.
It is for you, it's not for me.
Well, no, I mean, I'll lose out to Hamilton, of course. I've been watching some other people's My Team streams, by the way. I've seen some very interesting things happening. The first thing I've noticed is that driver moves make a lot more sense.
The pit box is currently full. Stay out on track. Stay out on track.
So drivers no longer go to stupid teams, which is good. Oh, Hamilton's coming, it looks like.
That's me.
Oh.
Now, are they... Nope, they're just going to sit on the tyres. Great. Thanks for that, animations. Oh, that has buggered me right up.
Oh, what did they do to you?
Oh, I'm back out in 13th. Shit, that was a bad idea.
Full race update.
I reckon this... I might be able to catch back up again. I'm going to have to be really decisive. I don't know how much F1 news I'll be able to talk about in the last few laps.
Then please allow me. Yeah, we haven't touched on much news, have we? So, in other F1 newsy fun times, there has been some other stuff that's come up. So, obviously we touched on it earlier in the episode, that the situation with Haas and Sergio Perez is obviously under the magnifying glass a little bit. But it was interesting, we never talked about this part of it, the way in interview earlier in the week, Romain Grosjean was asked about the future, and he says, well, I'm actually more nervous about whether the team will stay in Formula One. That's the elephant in the room. And then Steiner responds in a typical Gunter Steiner way, saying the elephant in the room is actually whether Romain Grosjean stays in his seat. Which, you know, is a very Gunter Steiner-y thing to say. However, I would also say that this is perhaps the first time he's been so effusive in a public statement like that. And Roman seemed... how can I put it? He seemed like a broken man in Paddock Pass. He had a certain resignation in his voice. And while I think it's no shocking, presumptive leap to say that he's probably not going to be in Haas next year, I think more key is that it seems that relationship may have just about hit rock bottom. Because they're not even maintaining professional courtesies at this point. I mean, he's talking about stuff that, you know, drivers normally give a slimy, no-comment response to, and Gunter Steiner has essentially said, I'm going to fire him. I think that's an interesting precedent to have. And And I want to throw that out in also the wider context of what's going on in the sport right now, where things that people were previously discouraged from saying, that seems to all be coming into question now. I've noticed a few drivers speaking a bit more frankly, not in an entertaining way, just in a maybe it's born out of frustration kind of way. And then, of course, Lewis Hamilton's allowed to stand on his soapbox with his megaphone at every available opportunity, despite the fact that historically that's not been allowed in the sport, because political topics are not supposed to be in the sport. And what I'm curious about is where it goes from here. I mean, I kind of like the idea of a more open and honest F1 paddock. I think part of this has come from lockdown generally, and the drivers, doing more sim racing and more live streaming and more Instagram Live and so on. But also things like Drive to Survive have opened a window, right, on the sport itself.
And they've seen how the internet, I think, has reacted to the fact, particularly actually from Günther Steiner, how much of a cult celebrity status he probably now has because of his running mouth.
Yes, also true.
Whether that's good for business is an entirely different matter, but what gets you clicks, doesn't it?
Well, it's good for the sport. I mean, that said, he hasn't done his team sponsorship portfolio that much good, has it?
No.
That team's looking very, very sparse.
That is true.
Also, it's not just the negatives or the brutally honest that you're seeing more of, right? I sent something to you on Instagram actually earlier today, because I hadn't seen it at the time, but it's a video clip from after Norris's podium, where Carlos Sainz sees him, runs towards him, gives him a big hug, and says, "You deserve it."
Aww.
And you never ever see that between drivers, teammates. I don't remember the last time I saw two teammates have a relationship like that. Do you?
Not really.
It was an honest, "You deserve that. Well done," And bearing in mind they raced each other in that. In that Grand Prix, hard raced, but there was no, soreness about having been beaten in a wheel-to-wheel race, no ego or anything.
No.
So more of that, please. But I'm just not so sure how I feel about team principals shitting on their drivers rather publicly. Okay, time to shut up now and do some driving. It's one down. I have a Red Bull in front of me.
Oof. So close. These tires are cold.
Yeah, actually, that's something else I've noticed. Cold tyres have a lot more impact now than they have done in any of the previous games, haven't they?
Agreed.
I'm going to be faster here through the chicane, and I'm already backing off because I know we're going to have a massive accident if I try and overtake here.
No, Perez, no.
Is he being a naughty boy?
It's okay. We survived, and I'm back into 10th. Next up is Norris.
Oh, come back, DRS. All is forgiven. I don't mind you when it's me who benefits. I got past Verstappen, but he made me work for it, and it cost me a lot of distance to the cars in front. I'm now P5. There's a Ferrari ahead of me. I don't know who that is.
Leclerc, because I've just passed Vettel for 8.
Oh, there we go then. And then it looks like Hamilton, someone, and then...
Verstappen.
Oh yeah, so it'll be Albon I got past then, who made me work for it.
I'm assuming. Okay, I've just passed... Oh, I passed Sainz earlier. That's Norris again. Okay, I'm back into 7. Albon's next.
Well, you're putting them behind you quicker than I am. We may end up racing here.
I can see you ahead, actually. You are faster than me around here by a long stretch, though, so I think when you're back in clear air, you'll be alright.
I don't think there's any chance of that happening.
Oh, yeah, I can see your little traffic jam.
Give me the DRS, please.
Oh, I've got sweaty mitts.
Oh, I'm glad I'm not the only one who's very sweaty. The inter-buttock area where I'm currently holding my onion, very, very sweaty.
Oh, is that where you sweat your vegetables? Don't just get racing advice on here, you get cooking tips as well.
Well, if by cooking tips you mean being advised not to shove an onion up your arse to appease the gods of Frenchness. Then again, I can't honestly, wholeheartedly say I'd give that advice because it's actually working phenomenally well for me.
This is as bad as when drinking increased your ability to win races.
Yeah, the one thing I was always asked not to do, don't drink and drive, and then boom. Okay, I'm going to back out and I'm going to get you later. So, Charles Leclerc. I'll get you next time, Leclerc.
Gotcha.
Arguably one of the best TV theme tunes of all time.
Absolutely. I did laugh actually at Sky F1 were doing a bit about Racing Point and the issues with them copying, and it's Ted Kravitz running around the paddock poking out from behind garages to the Pink Panther theme song. It was perfect.
Poor fat Ted, he gets a short end of the stick these days, doesn't he? He's just sat in the grandstand by himself.
He is.
Out in the rain.
Like locked out from his paddock little pass. It's all sad. Although it did make me laugh when in FP1 Sky took Paul di Resta and Crofty out into the stands to try and commentate, and no one could hear a word they said throughout FP1 because, funny enough, cars are noisy, and they didn't really think about that too much. And Paul di Resta at the beginning went, "You can hear us now, but I'm not sure this is going to work when the cars come round." And that was about the last we heard of him for 90 minutes. It's hilarious.
I wish I'd seen that. Wow, DRS is not as helpful against this Ferrari as I was hoping it would be. You're really gaining on us because he's holding me up.
He is.
Really rather badly. I'm sorry, chat. I will come to you when I'm not fighting for points. Come on, let me past you, you French git. Oh no, I didn't mean that. I didn't mean that.
Not the French! Not the French!
Because now he's going to hold both of us up.
I feel like if he was in a Telltale game, Cyril would have popped up in the corner and it just said, "Cyril noted this."
Do you have a Nazis out? I wonder if that's another safety car.
Too late, it's only 2 laps left. Oh, hello.
Uh-oh. 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 This isn't good. Whenever we race each other, it's bad. Bad things happen.
World
Come
spins
on,
off
little
axis.
car. Come on, let me get past this monegasque bastard.
Last lap.
This is your final
Okay.
lap of the race.
Nicely done, sir.
Oh, well, I had to go off the circuit, but I knew he wasn't going to let me through.
Oh, yellow flags. Oh, is that for Giovinazzi?
Don't worry, the no overtaking of the yellow flags rule, they never implemented it.
Did they not?
No, it says no overtaking, but there's no penalty if you do. The AI do it in my games all the fucking time.
We advise moving to mix 2, fuel to mix 2.
Not done with you yet, Zero.
This is the last lap, right?
Yep.
So I can turn my engine up to party mode.
Oh, and I can go off at the chicane.
No! Did you hold it?
Yep. I'm just having to hold off Leclerc. That was me going, oh shit, I've accidentally cut the inside, and it threw off my normal trajectory. Whew.
Do you know, I honestly think a few more laps and I could have won this Grand Prix.
A few more.
That's what I get for making an extra pit stop.
A few less bagels, and I'd have almost been a size 0.
Got the fastest lap
Oh,
though, so that
you
helps
Jim
my
Jam.
point.
Nice one. In the track, DF Racing, Multi 21. Damn right, damn right.
Beetlejuice suggests that next time, to improve the French levels, I could actually treat myself to a bath in butter. Garlic butter, obviously. I'm going to have a celebratory bite of croissant.
Some duck butter. Brotas winning. I feel like Brotas is much more powerful in this game this year as well. He seems to be he's leading in my team by quite a way.
He wins everything in my team stream. Do you know what else I've learned? We need to go back to 3 levels of qualifying because otherwise the stream's too short. Or we need to go to 100% race distance. Because we started half an hour late and we're about to finish bang on time.
We are. Or we could do 2 rounds, but then that kind of makes it over too quick. We should think.
We'll figure it out. And also, as ever, your comments are welcome on the format. My apologies to chat for being a little less attentive this time. I have a solution. I'm just waiting for the bits to arrive. And apologies to the regular viewers for us starting half an hour late because I don't know what I'm doing. That said, what a cracking start.
Not bad at all. Top 5s for both of us, and plenty of points on the board. We might be on target. Well, I don't know. We'll see how we get on with the rest of the season, but this could well be our most competitive season yet.
Well, obviously, it won't last at Hanoi, where I don't actually know anyone who's good at that track. I've been watching a few people. Everyone seems to struggle there. Everybody.
I'll be uploading my Hanoi episode later this into next week. In terms of actual pace, I can hit a single lap and be okay. But yeah, it will kind of. I spent the entire first half of my race battling the 2 Williamses with my teammate just in front of us, and then I nicked one of my front wing end plates. And then what I've liked really cool about this game is how your front wing can disintegrate slightly further around a lap. I don't know if you've had that yet. It's proper cool, but yeah, it kind of fell apart a little bit more. So then when I came into the pits, I thought, they weren't going to change the front wing, but they did, and then I was like, oh, now I'm last. So yeah,
Beetlejuice would prefer that we move back to doing 3 levels of quali rather than a longer race. Duly noted, sir, and your feedback carries sufficient weight around here. So
yes.
Thank you. We appreciate that. Well, other than that. we look forward to welcoming you all back, hopefully in 2 weeks' time for the next episode, which should be a bit more organised, and we'll know what we're doing. Let's take a look at the standings, though, before we bow out.
Yeah, I was just having a look at that myself. Do you have any particular predictions, actually, for tomorrow, just after we show through the standings here?
That's a good question. I can't see beyond Mercedes for the win. Probably Hamilton. Then maybe a point for Russell, and I think the Red Bulls will have at least one DNF.
Ooh, sneaky.
What about you, sir?
I'm going to go for a Bottas win ahead of Hamilton, then a racing point in third, so that they can get their podium, because then that will make the stakes of the thingamabob, the appeal and everything so much more dramatic. I too think that a Red Bull will DNF. I also think that it depends on the weather, but I think we might have either Haas or Alfa Romeo inter-team collision.
Oh, actually, I could see the Haas's coming together. Yeah, definitely. Thank you for your kind words, Beetlejuice, who asks, we've been doing this for years, why would we suddenly become more competent in 2 weeks' time? All right, smart arse. I wasn't talking about being properly competent. I was talking about like being able to start on time and have you hear both of us. Like that's the bare minimum level of competency that we should be aiming for. Other than that, thank you so much for joining us, mate, and thank you to everyone who hopefully watches on replay. Statistics suggest we get a few views there, and of course anyone over on Simon's stream. We wish all of you a wonderful weekend and a great race day tomorrow.
Yeah, take care all. Happy racing. See you soon. Bye.
Bye. Love you. Bye.
Take that onion out now.